learned, sorry, I'm just losing my screen and everything here. But anyway, what we learned over the last few weeks is that we want our students to develop particular competencies. We want them to actually have social and personal competencies. We want them to have ethical, intercultural. This is the curriculum. So basically, if you want to use the resources of any kind, that's very good. But now you have to design them, or you have to actually make them work inside of your activity that actually works with the curriculum requirements. And I truly think that I have to actually create a podcast for us all to actually learn how to do it. I'm not going to do it through online system like this, because it's not a very good recording and I don't want to waste time doing this. So basically, animal resources are fine. Animal resources are fine, like I have here, for example. So animal resources are great, but the question is, how will you work with those resources? How will you organize them in the activity? So what stages will you have in your activity for students to actually explore those resources, explore them in the way that actually makes sense to them, which is the empowerment phase, then actually do something with those resources that engage children in the project, and then the children can actually go through the project and create a product. So these are the kind of things that we're looking for. So animal resources are great. Now,
and I have a question.
But yeah.
How can we apply these theories into the PowerPoint? Do we need to indicate all these necessary theories into each slide or something else?
Well, what I do typically, this is what I did for some other workshop, right? So this is what I did for my project that I'm doing. So in a PowerPoint, what I do, and this is for my workshop, so it doesn't necessarily apply with what you're doing, only halfway. But basically what I do, the first slides of my PowerPoint, I basically create a theoretical framework. You will have to use some words in it to describe how you actually, what's your pedagogic framework. And then what I did here in my resource, when people click on any of those icons, they actually find themselves doing particular activities. And they have access to resources. And then once they have access to resources, they also have access to tools that enable them to use resources. So if they click on the gathering, this is the Aboriginal icon for gatherings, they might find here different stories. And they might actually explore how people, depends on the purpose of the activity. They might find how to do storytelling in Chinese. Or they might just identify a few a few stories. And you might actually sensitize them not just to what the words mean or how the grammar is structured, but also about how the text is structured. So for example, I have some like for example in Western stories, I'm not sure whether you can see it. I'll just try to make it bigger.
I can see that.
Yeah?
A wolf had been...
No, yeah, great. So what happens in Western stories, fairy tales, or these sort of rhymed stories built on ancient stories called Aesop tales, what you will see first is an introduction, what happened, and then it's a little dialogue. And here it's the same. If you look, this is a different story. So it's a bit of an introduction here. I'll just make it bigger. Here's a bit of an introduction, and then there is a dialogue. So you may sensitize children, but this is a structure of a story in those fairy tales. There is a bit of an introduction here, something happens, and then animals talk to each other. And the same here. So what children do develop is actually awareness of they develop expectations of how the story develops in a particular language. So you can say first, basically, we focus the child. So it is about the wolf. And he was eating. Oh, my God, he was. And he was greedy. Oh, my God. And then problem happened. What happened? there was the thing, you know, the crane came. Or what is it here? Or he could a bone that he couldn't. Okay, so what happened? And the bone got. This is where the. So we have a wolf eating, and then the bone got stuck in his throat. So it is like a very quick sequence of sentences, of events, right? So in this fairy tale, we don't have a situation where we have a big description. Those short fairy tales are basically very fast. They describe a very fast pace of events. So a wolf was eating, then the bone got, it's in the same sentence, the next event, the bone got stuck in his throat. He couldn't get it up or down, and he could not eat. And then someone arrived, and blah happened, and black happened, and blah happened. The story develops. Pretty much every chunk is a new event. So children are going to look, so you will actually assist children when they do actually comprehension of it, to identify how you in Chinese mark that someone says something. In English we do it with quotation marks. Well, how do you do in Chinese? So we can separate it. So this is when there's a dialogue. This is the description. So maybe we're going to look for verbs, because the verbs are going to tell us how the pace of events. And then we will look for things around the verb to actually make sense. So it's a kind of, but the real question is, how could you create? So for example, when the children first started here, they clicked here, how do you go from, let's have a look what's in the puzzle. So this is a sequence of 4 puzzles. And every time they click on any of those, they go to other puzzles, right, to other things. And they show them things, what people do, and they are given, so if we show them what people do, then we also give them some tools, I call it empowerment, for actually trying to find out what these people do, right? So sort of to make some sense. So you give them some tools. So as they are exploring, just wait, as they are exploring, for example, a story, how will you present a story to children, and what resources will you give them so that they can actually make sense out of a Chinese story? It's a long beginning. So how can a story be presented for children to actually make sense? I mean, there's a million of them. You can use YouTube where they see it in English, then they can actually look at it in Chinese. Maybe you have Chinese captions somewhere, I don't know. But just being innovative about how a story like this can be presented to children, and then you can break it down into little comprehension things, but you know, maybe with some games as well attached to it, like I did with Sam.
Yeah.
So the children can actually spend time exploring that little story, and they can do with another story, and they can actually. You might actually not actually give them the whole story in Chinese. You might just give them actually ways of organizing the story in their head. Okay, so there's first an introduction. So find some stories which have a regularity. Obviously, not all fairy tales in English have the same structure, but many do. So if you find some that have this structure, but there's an introduction, fast pace of events, and then also a quote here, then teach them how to actually find verbs, teach them how to identify the story, and that might do. And if they want to hear the rest of the story, they might they might actually listen to it in English, and then produce the story themselves by using the Google Translator in Chinese. So rather than start with listening comprehension, they start with a reproduction of an English story, of a Chinese story in English, into Chinese, and so they go the other way. And they learn English by trying to now turn what they have learned a little bit in Chinese from this, and then as they are recreating the story in Chinese, they actually use your support resources like Google Translator and whatever else and different games, so they can actually now learn Chinese by actually producing a story in Chinese. And then you can teach them through different intonation patterns and different by stressing intonation in Chinese. It's very important. They can teach actually themselves how to actually tell the story and record themselves. So all of this has to be in the PowerPoint. Every step of the lesson design has to be in the PowerPoint, because the PowerPoint has to be designed in such a way that the Chinese teacher from Poland can pick it and can actually teach it.
Okay. So do I just need to put English in there, or I should put Chinese and English both in there?
Well, I'm not gonna read Chinese. But the thing is, this has to be, you have to show how you would design a series of activities, right? How you would design them into something that someone can teach. So you need
Okay. But I feel a little bit confused. If I don't put Chinese, how can a teacher like from Poland select them to teach like the Chinese?
Well, you can put, I mean, I have created this story in English, but so if you put this, if you make it into Chinese, you still have to show how you will actually help children to work with this story. So I've just given you an idea how I would work with this story. I would have started with Chinese. I would have shown children some regularities, which give them, therefore, some cultural information as well as language information. But then, because it gets too heavy, I would have shifted away from doing more of this story in Chinese. I would have shifted into English to see how this story is in English, and then I would have engaged them in recreating the story which they just heard in English in Chinese. So then they can break it down. The idea is that children have to actually they have to manage the processing load. And when you give them a Chinese story, which with those zigzags, because to a Western mind, the Chinese characters look like meaningless zigzags. If you give them 2 lines of them and you actually show them, or even organize them in a text in such way, even with colors, differentiating. So if this word is one word, make it red. If this word is a different word, make it blue. If this word is a different word, make it green. So they give them some sort of way of differentiating between words. But they can only deal with 2 or 3 lines. After that, they will throw up. They will be so dizzy. So you give them a bit of Chinese, you give them some insights into working with Chinese characters and so on, and then you take them completely out of this when they learn some cultural information and some language comprehension sort of mechanisms. You take them out of the Chinese, you bring them into English, and then you tell them to explore the tools so that they can actually produce the story in Chinese. And then you can give them also, in order for them to memorize some writing of the Chinese characters and so on, do some Chinese calligraphy with them to have fun. You know, when they actually trace letters with beautiful brushes, not just with a pen or whatever. Beautiful calligraphy exercises, you know, if you introduce, or maybe sometimes even if there are computer-based calligraphy exercises, we have them on the website in English, but I don't know whether you have them in Chinese. Like I was showing for hiragana, you know, all these lovely. So if you have them too, give them to children so they can play. You can also give them stuff. There is, what did I see? Just wait, I found. There is this puzzle. I should actually, so this is the hiragana. You can give them these things to play with as well, like we did. But there's a puzzle as well. There's a site. Maybe you should actually just memorize it now, or write it down for yourself. It's called Jigsaw Planet.
Just a moment. Jigsaw Planet. JigsawPlanet.com. Okay. Forget that. That's just as irrelevant. Just Jigsaw. That's a particular puzzle I created. Okay. So Jigsaw. That's Jigsaw. It's JigsawPlanet.com, and there you can actually take a picture of someone. I did it like this. Albert, it's my dog. Then the jigsaw puzzle created this, broke down the picture into a puzzle. Oh, okay. Into a puzzle. And then the kids, it was magnificent. I mean, I hate these things, and I was stuck in that stupid game forever, trying to put my poor dog back together. You know,
was fun. And what they do, they are thinking that they are putting the dog together, but in fact, they also are working with the Chinese writing to learn how the bits and pieces, they get accustomed to the shape of Chinese writing. So, and it could be even if it is even French, they get accustomed to the way of how the French sort of flows, how the words are put together. So it doesn't matter what language. So you put the picture with something, or just letters, could be just a sentence, doesn't have to be a dog, could be just a word. Then the puzzle will break it. You click on create, and they will tell you upload the picture. Then they will actually break the picture into a puzzle. And then you have a puzzle, and then you have to put it together. And it's fun. It's really fun.
That's very helpful.
Hey?
That's very helpful. Can apply
Yeah.
it to any language.
Yeah, any language. It's really good.
Yeah.
So the videos are great for exploration, but this is even better when they actually, when you put, so for example, if you have a video of animal, why not just the way you present it, create a map, right? So for, not create a map, better. So this is, I don't know what slide. First, put up a puzzle like I did here, right? And say it has a common theme. This one has a theme, friends. But you can have a theme, something like our world, right? Or animals of our world, or something like a theme. And kids can choose different puzzles to play with, but if they choose this one, then if they click on, say, penguins or something else, any of those icons, you have to be imaginative, then you take them to this is a student of mine created this. So, so basically you have a map of the world, and you put different icons, you know, of different footprints of animals. And then when children click on any of those footprints, they can either listen to a story, or they can watch the video, right? And by comparing and contrasting different information, they can get, and you giving them tools to make sense out of those, just like we did with the story, they can actually get inspired to create a little thing, like create their own story about animals or something. So here are these little footprints. So they get at the same time some information about geography, where these actually animals live. And at the same time they get exposure, and especially if you could choose, if you go to Google and you look for Aboriginal legend, I don't know where I had that, but Aboriginal legend will give you a lot of those things, like, you know, how the Aboriginal people mark the footprints of different creatures. It's very funny. And so at the same time, children are learning something about Aboriginal history and culture, and that's very important because it's one of the priorities of the curriculum. So you can see that even though if you go to a workshop and sometimes people have great ideas, the ideas are great, but you need to organize or create your activity against the curriculum. And as I said, I'm just flagging some things now, but I will have to create a little PowerPoint, a little podcast on how to actually do it in relation to the curriculum, to actually apply the priorities and the capabilities into your activities. But yeah, this is indigenous, and I put indigenous things here on purpose because children need to have an exposure to indigenous icons and therefore the indigenous heritage. I have a map of the world for a good reason, so that children see that the world is bigger than their school. Children need to know it for many reasons. One of them is you might not actually see the relevance of it instantly, but a lot of children come from very difficult backgrounds. And when they are actually stuck in the world where they think it's only their parents and them, they get very depressed. But if we show them they can get in touch with other schools and talk to other children, they can go to the HK Center and produce an electronic book in Vietnamese or in Chinese for the Chinese older people, that the world is bigger. Look how big it is. There is a map here, and it's got many people and many animals. Children all of a sudden have a space for creativity, and for breathing away from parents. Not all parents, I mean, I'm not saying that all parents are bad, but there are many parents who actually are so restrictive that it's good for children to actually see that they can actually love their parents, but also engage with other people in constructive activities, because there are other people. Children very often are not aware that they have sort of something to contribute to the community. And the community aspect of which I'm talking about now links back again to the curricular priorities which talk about sustainability. And the priority about sustainability is not only about the environment, but it is also about community building. So our activities have to be so pitched that they also include community building. And one way is to actually expose children to what other people do, and also engage them in activities by linking with communities. Right? It is not a simple job. It might be simple, but it needs to be learned.
Yeah. And the question is, if you create like the jigsaw or something, do you need to put like some explanation?
No, just say that. And now, one of the fun things at the end, maybe, or one of the things somewhere, it'd be good for children to do the jigsaw, and I will understand it. Only put an explanation to stuff I don't know what the particular activity does.
Oh, okay.
So if it is not obvious what an activity does, then you need to explain it. I have some PowerPoints done by other people, and I might actually show you, but they were not in, I have some done in Load as well. But I might just find something in literacy. Just one second, okay? So we're gonna look at stuff that my students did for assignment 2. I don't know who was really good. It's really hard to find the right. I don't know. Let's hope we find someone good, okay? I don't know who these students are. So they also had to create an activity, but this is for teaching early literacy.
Yeah, but generally, how many activities do I need?
Something that I don't know what's the assignment. What does the assignment say? I can't remember the assignment.
You could say like 1,000 to 2,000 words. But I've noticed your PowerPoint contains more than 40 slides. That's why I'm a little bit panicked. Yeah,
but slides don't contain words, do they? I just had to write the number of words for the sake of assignment description. But you probably will not have more. I mean, it doesn't really matter. 2,000. Look at this. This is the same amount of words. What does the student do here? So they basically, unit description, outcomes, teaching, learning, content, pedagogy, they describe something here. Description, I don't know, I didn't like it how they did that. Oh, this is a bad student. All right. But so this is not a good assignment that I chose, but it gives you a bit of an idea how it more or less looks like. But it was a really bad assignment. I just can't think of. But you can see more or less how it actually looks like, even just from what you just saw. Teaching 2015. I wish I could find something nice. Why can't I find something nice? Do I know anyone? Oh my God. Well, that's one. This is about animals. Funny you said that. So what do they have here? It's not, I can't even, okay. So what she has something caring for injured, okay, so, okay, this lady produced her theoretical framework in a Word document, and now she just created activities, okay? So in the PowerPoint, she only created activities. But I think that, or maybe the other way around. So this is her pedagogical approach, blah. Okay, so this is just her theory. She didn't produce here the assignment. Oh my goodness.
But in here, it's like only one lesson plan. Yeah, in the assignment, it's mentioned.
A resource is something. A resource is something that someone can. It's a learning resource for load. It's something that generates a series of activities for children. So it's not just one lesson. Something that generates a series of activities for children, and it has also support included, so that children can actually use the support to actually go through the activities.
Okay.
Okay, so like here, these are all supports. This is all, people click here, and then the supports for literacy I created here. Oh, this is for listening comprehension, and I might have shown you, where you've got a video, and then you have a different representation of words in the video, and children can click on those stars and actually see what's underneath those words. This is really hard to recreate in the PowerPoint, but you can do it in the way I did it with Sam, where words were covered, and the child could actually shift you can insert, I mean, you can do it in a primitive way. I mean, if you don't have a cow, just buy a sheep or something. So you can cover the words, and then you can play with children, but they can open, right, and learn. And then they can cover again. So basically, the stars can be like, so you represent the word like this, and underneath is the real text, and the children can actually move it to learn what's underneath. Or you can create a link to each of the words, and when they click on, say, the first chunk, then the PowerPoint goes to a particular place. Or you can explain it. You don't have to design it. You can explain, so that when children click on the words, the PowerPoint will go to a particular place, giving them the word, so that they still can hear the text and see the structure of the text, which is those words, but they don't see the text. So it forces them to actually listen to the video, but if they need a support, when they click on different words, then the PowerPoint will show them what's in those words. I think I've got that similar thing. Not quite, but I've got something like that, and I've given to you guys. I hope it will come up. Remember the sheep song? I'm sure I've given you the sheep song. Okay. So this is not exact. Imagine those stars were there. I don't have stars in this particular lesson plan or that game, but what I do have is a similar concept. So I've given it to you guys. So basically, it's a song. It will not come out through Blackboard. Oh, it's coming up. So you can listen to a song, and it is, you can't hear it. I can. So whatever it is, a story, it could be a story. But here's a song, okay? I've seen the sites of blah, okay? Blah, blah, blah. So they listen to that stuff. And then what I did was, I hope it works. So give me and you see how it comes up, the icon, they can hear it. Give me they can hear it says home. And if they want to, if they don't know what it is, they can click here, and it will tell them home. Among there, you see how the sound comes out? So if they can click among there, and gum trees, it says. And then it says gum trees, just in case I didn't hear, or for confirmation. And you can do it for every, and I'm sure this PowerPoint is on your resources. If it isn't, write to me. So basically what we did, I made Andrew Lyon, my ex-husband, who's a professor in languages, and he has a good sense of singing. I made him record the song with his voice, and then I used Audacity system, where I actually chopped each word into, I actually isolated the words of the song, and then each word had a name. I gave each word a name. So this one is a home, right? So I put it underneath this icon. I put the file called home. Underneath this icon, I put the file called Gumtrees. So when you click on the Gumtrees, you can hear Andrew singing Gumtrees. This is on your website. But this is a lovely support, a listening support. So they heard the song and they have some support words here with lots of blah blah. They can hear the whole song. You see it? There's a whole song here. And they can hear it. So they can now play. What do you think is here? Give me a how, and then they can click here. So, all right, the same here. With lots of, and they don't know what it says. They click here. It says plum trees. Right. So it's a very primitive listening comprehension system, but oh my God, so much fun. Especially if it is in Chinese, because nobody understands it. It makes sense out of it. Now, if you actually look how I designed it, and I'm sure you have it on your website, on your LearnLine, look how many slides are underneath. All right, so it's not too bad. All right, but one thing that you can do afterwards is, you can do other games. So give me, they can hear the word, and they have to draw a picture. Give me a home. They have to draw a picture of a home. So we made it in reverse a little bit here. So kids can hear, give me a home, and then they have to, on the smartboard, draw a home among there, and they have to draw it, and so on. So you can do it in reverse as another exercise. And they can give me, now this is like they have to move those rocking chairs. On the smartboard, it's very easy to do. They have all these answers, but now they have to put them in the right place in the song, right? And they still have a support here. They can always click on the song here and hear the whole thing to remind them. And then what I did, we had different games to play. And then you can do word building exercises, right? So for example, I don't know whether this will work. So home, what words do we know with home? Well, homework, homeland. Yeah. And then they click more and look at this. How many more words? So you can do all of that with students. So you start with a song that's really funny, and you give them some sort of tools to actually go through the song to actually do the listening comprehension. And then you create some other activities around it, and then maybe from these activities they could actually produce as a result something for how to design something around the house, or I don't know. But basically what I'm saying, once they did the song, and I can't think at this very moment, but once they have a song and have all these support exercises, then you can bounce out of a song and now start doing things like word building exercises. And then I don't know what you can do with word building exercises. Then you can maybe create things, create with children things. And they can actually design a home where for the fun of it, they will have a home chair and a home sofa and a home carpet and a home cabinet and a home desk. So as they are having fun, instead of learning chair and desk and table, the word home will be signaling to them that now they do the home table and the home chair and the home lounge room and the home kitchen and the home. And it's just fun. I mean, let's face it, it's just all about creating fun. And there are some different games. These are great games for cooking. So the kids, after they've done this word building about homes and everything, because the whole song was about home, right? It was about give me a home among the gum trees. So we worked with the home as a word building exercise. And now they can go to these stupid games. They're actually quite good. I mean, I don't know whether you have them in Chinese, but in English they are just brilliant. Maybe there is a way of working with it in Chinese. So let's have a look whether it will work. It is so funny. You should see them. So when you open that video, when you open on LearnLine the PowerPoint with this song about the sheep, then go through all the slides and have a look what they actually do for you. So this one is really great game. I think advertisement comes up first, so just have to live with it. Kids just have to live with the fact that we have advertisements every 5 seconds. Every time we open, okay, it's not too long. So when we look at the game, it's a great game. So you play, I have to turn off the sound somewhere, but I don't know how. The sound, okay, yeah, can turn off the sound. So this is the recipe. So you start, and you have butter. Click on the knife to begin. Now you have to slice it. Click and drag to cut the potato. Click and drag. I don't know. Oh my goodness, I don't know. I've done it before. But maybe because I didn't read the... Click and drag, click. How do I click and drag to cut the potato? Hey?
Maybe you can try double click.
Yeah, I am. I don't know. Oh my God, I can't get out of it. So cut potatoes, blah, 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 do the lambs. It's a great game. You can actually recreate it in the PowerPoint. But this is, if you could find something like this, or you can have it in English and then the kids can, look, they can do it in English. They can do this game. Oh, there's 5,000, look at this, how many games are here. 5,000 of them. So they can do it in English and then they can actually themselves in the PowerPoint or in the PowerPoint or something, or if you had someone in IT, they could actually create an application if they could, an app. But basically, if they couldn't, then in the PowerPoint. So they first do it in English, and then they recreate this game in Chinese for other children. You tell them, or for older people somewhere, or for someone who likes it. So they translate all of this into Chinese, translate all of this into Chinese, and the next slide will be to cut the potato. Click the knife to begin. So I click. Then click and drag. Oh my God.
Why not you split that?
Yeah, well, that's what it wanted me to do. Click and drag to cut the potato. It's the other way now. Oh my God. I've got an IQ of a freaking chimp. Not this way. I mean, the kids will love it. Because they're no longer doing Chinese. They're doing now something that is about motor skills and bloody hell. So they do all of that. Now, how many potatoes we're going to cut, I have no idea. There are better games out there, but this one will do. All right. I had enough of those potatoes, but that really taught me. I mean, and it's fun. Kids will love it. So once we, oh my God, how many of those?
So many potatoes.
Oh my God, if I see another potato, I'm going to just throw up. Oh my God, there I go. I'm glad you're not here. But you see, they do it in English again.
Okay, great job.
Okay, well then, anyway, click and drag to pour water. So, click. So click. But on what do I click? So it pours water. That's thank God it did. And now add the potatoes to the pot. See, I did that.
Great job.
So all of that. So exactly. So they can do it for other children, but in the PowerPoint. So once they play it, you say to them, wouldn't it be nice to do it for other children in Chinese, to learn Chinese? And they go, oh my God, it would be. So what do? Click and drag to stir. Well, I did that. Well, it doesn't seem to do anything. Okay. Now I have to drag in this way.
You have to steer in that.
Oh my God. I know, it's hard because I'm doing it through Blackboard. The computer is not managing. Okay, so we've done that. The kids will love it. So each of them can do different. You see, they do the lamb now. They cut the lamb. They cut the lamb. And literally, they could recreate it in Chinese, right? easily. So they played in English, so they learned some English literacy. We know that learning languages in Australia is about learning English. So they did something in English, and then they can actually recreate it in PowerPoint in Chinese and teach children to have fun to do things. So I'm not doing any more of that game. I'm over it. So all right. But you can see that that was fun, wasn't it? And then where are we? So, you know, it was about the home. Give me the home among the countries. You can do some geography now. So there's a game in geography. I think we did the puzzles last time. And then we have more games, more creativity games. Oh, you can put some things now in phonics. Phonics doesn't work, but honestly, it's better than now and then do some phonics will not harm children. And especially if you find some more interesting games. So find something interesting in Chinese. Then you can do some more games and so on. So you can see how we started with a song, right? First we saw it on the videos. It could be a story, could be a song. Then the kids had to actually work out what the things are saying, right? So they were doing listening comprehension. And then we took them to these different ways of working now with the same layout. So now they had to draw pictures. Now they had to reorganize the words. And now they had some games. I mean, the frog game is great because then they can actually, you've seen the frog game? The frog game is great because what I did here, okay, I might just pick it up. I can't see it actually well. So the frog game is great because you think that children are playing a frog game, but you can only think that if you don't have enough of imagination. The children are actually not playing the frog game. Well, everybody is thinking they're playing a frog game because we are teachers are like parents, right? We have to cheat children. It's all on the record now. Everybody knows that I talk about cheating children. But what it does, when you play the game, so all these frogs have to go to the right and all these frogs have to go to the left, right? Well, how do you say it in Chinese? Now I will click on this frog and this frog goes here. And now what should I do? Should I click on this frog here or should this frog leap here? Right?
The jump.
Hey?
Green frog. You should click the.
I can't hear you.
Can you click the black frog?
Yeah, but the thing is, they speak it in Chinese. You give them Chinese words. So, you know, by the time the fifth child does it in Chinese, they will be telling the child, the whole class will be telling the child which words to use, right? So basically, we have to click on this one. And then maybe we have to click so that they say, oh, okay, so this is all in Chinese. Guang gang, guang gu, guang, guang gua gua, gua, gua. Oh my God, we're stuck. That was when we weren't stuck. Anyway, I think that this one has to go here. I don't know. Oh my God, I stuffed it. Oh my God. Oh my God, I got it stuck. Anyway, so I lost it. But you see, they can actually play this game, but you can say to them that the only way they can play the game in classroom is if they actually describe what they do in Chinese. And that's fun. That's real fun. So you can see we started with this silly, you can see how to build an activity with a song and listening comprehension. They were learning to sing. They were trying to understand the words. Singing to a song is really good, teaches them some proper pronunciation. Then they did some games like this, some games like this. Then the frog, where they were actually speaking in Chinese by trying to say, now I don't know how the frog connects. So it's a country, right? It's a country thing. So give me a home around the gum trees. Those are the frogs are in the country. Then we did some things about home. Then we learned some words about home. Then we might have used some game about home, and we designed a home in Chinese. So they learned about how you actually create a home in Chinese, how you design a home in Chinese. And then we did also some other things like cooking in the house. Then we did some geography where my house is in China. Then we did some sort of pronunciation thing. And then we did some other games, and that's it. And that's it. You've got a PowerPoint designing an activity. It's a learning resource. It's a beautiful learning resource if you actually do all the things that I just said. So that's very simple, and you build it up, and you build it up, and you build it up in a fun way and in a way that actually connects with, now it has to be also like the activities, like why are they gonna do all of that, right? The purpose of it. So the purpose of it is so that they can actually create something. So what will they create? Well, they might actually create a little, children might, so all of this is about engagement with community, so they develop social awareness and personal awareness at the same time as they are creating these things. They learn about themselves. So the idea is to produce for some other children information PowerPoint about the home and the activities in the Chinese house. So one of them, after they've done all these word building things, they might actually create how the house looks like in China. So remember, you have a Google Images website, and using Google Images website, they can actually incorporate in their video a lot of pictures about how Chinese homes look like, and they will just call these bits and pieces of the house with proper names, but in front of it they will put the word home, just for the fun of it. So it's a home carpet and a home table and home kitchen and all of that. And then we can show things in the same PowerPoint. They can also show to people in the how to actually create different meals, you know, so that other people who use this resource they can actually play some games. So they will recreate the games they were doing in English. So there is you vary the processing load of children, so it's not all in the same language, because otherwise they go crazy. It's just, especially I mean, I don't know how it's English to Chinese, but to us Chinese, it is like, you know, as if people from Mars were talking. So you can see you've got the personal and social here because they engage with other children, they do it for other children, they think about what other children might actually reflect on themselves, and they think with you through particular questions that I will actually teach you next time. They basically learn about what children of their age might actually like. So they reflect about themselves, they reflect about other children, therefore they decide that they might, as a result of their little song about home, they might actually explore the theme word, which is home. They might learn some things, and they will create a PowerPoint for children showing them different things about China, maybe in relation to the word home, that could be of interest to the people that like them, to the children like them. And then they might also teach them some things based on the games they've done in English. So it is a big activity. You can see it's not just one lesson. This will take 10 weeks because it's a unit of work, even though it looks like a single little PowerPoint of 25 slides, and yours will be a bit longer because you're a bit different. But anyway, it's 10 weeks of work. By the time children go through the song, by the time children go through an exploration of through all of that, and then by the time the children actually have a look what they start reflecting on themselves, and maybe, you know, we've done this song, what could we create for children of our age in another school so that they can learn something about China? Well, let's have a look at some more. You know, you say to them, well, I've got some things here, so maybe we could give them a game, and we could show to them that we can actually do it in Chinese. So you play with them, you teach them how to do it in Chinese, and so on. So up to you. But now, and then they can, from the game, they can go to the keyword, which is the home, and then, you know, as I said before, they develop this PowerPoint and then the games about cooking. So by the time you cover all of this, it's probably a whole semester. Little thing that started with the song, you build activities, one on the other, one on the other, one on the other, and it engages creativity and critical thinking. Children have to actually learn, and engages geography, culture, all kinds of cross-curricular priorities, all the 3 curricular priorities we have in Australia. All of this is involved in it. It's well designed, and it's also a present for other people, right? So the children don't think they do it just for you or for themselves. They actually are creating something for other people, and that actually gives them a sense that they actually are part of a greater community than just themselves. And that's just great. So what started like a simple, silly activity where let's go and do a song, it got built up to something quite big. There you go, Daniel. Tell me you have no questions. I'm tired.
No question at all. Yeah, I found this amazing resources you put in one file. That's very great.
And it is on LearnLine. You have it on LearnLine somewhere. I don't know. If you don't have it, then please email me if you can't find it, so I'll post it to everyone. But I'm sure it is there somewhere.
Yeah.
It's called Sheep. So the name of the PowerPoint is Sheep because it's about sheep. Because I don't know, I called it Sheep.
Double look that.
Yeah. And I didn't actually, I have to give a credit, I didn't actually, I didn't design it, I made it better. But actually this was initially designed by one of my undergraduate students in teaching English to children in Australia who don't speak English. So that was actually designed by one of my students, and it wasn't, of course, well designed because she didn't have enough computer skills. But I wanted to keep it in the PowerPoint to make it, to show to my students that you can actually create quite a lot of interesting things without actually knowing enough of, having enough of computer skills. And so, yeah, so Andrew and I, Andrew Lyon and me, put some effort together. I made him sing, and I made him create the audio file, and then we cut it into pieces, and then we put it under each of those pictures. So the file was created with Audacity. I just will have to close this. I don't know whether I can see my desktop. Everything it's very difficult. Well, I don't know. I'll just show that Audacity. It's spelled like this. It's really hard for me to show the desktop because my with screen. When I film the screen, it's not that easy. But yeah, so with Audacity, we recorded the thing and we did that. So we've done a lot of things with Andrew. You see, this is this calligraphy I was saying. Kids love that stuff. Oh my God. Today, and now they'll be coming to you and say, Mister, can we do some calligraphy, Chinese calligraphy today? But you know, they only will like it when you make it into this clean, beautiful exercise as it is in here. You have a beautiful, where you've got a beautiful sheet of paper, text underneath, beautiful paint or ink, beautiful brush. Then it is a pleasure. But if they do it with pen, I mean, Chinese writing was never meant to be done with a pen. So if it is done in an aesthetical way, kids will love it. If it is done as a drudgery, they will hate it. It's normal. So anyway, I might not have to show all my slides, but yeah. You know, you can use Google. Always remember the Google Maps for exploring the country. So they can come up with any names of towns to explore. Give me a home among the countries. They can actually explore different names of towns. And we can have a look how the country looks like if you go to, you know. And we might actually take this and then put, I mean, honestly, I'm full of imagination because I've done it for so many years. They put here a name of it, of this building. So if it is the school, they'll put it in, but they'll type it in Chinese because they will find, you will not tell them how to do, they'll find it on Google Translate, how to type it in Chinese. And in order to check whether it works, I don't know, they can actually see whether it's pronounceable, or you can then maybe tell them. But yeah, so they can actually create a legend, or they could actually create a legend on the side of the map with all these names in Chinese. So what the map shows, you know, it shows this, and then it shows something else, and all of this will be Chinese words. Here. So there's a lot of things.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, you see? All right, darling. I'll see you next week.
And next week, what time?
5:30. How's that?
On Friday also.
Yeah, well, would you like to change it?
It's okay. I love Friday. Yeah, I love Friday.
Yeah, I don't really mind.
And
my Friday.
For the assignment 1. Yeah.
I don't know. Week 8? I don't know. I'm not fussed about it. So week 8?
7.
I don't know when is assignment due. Look, it's a student's job, not mine.
Yes. No, I have a question for assignment. I not quite understand about the sentence stating there a teaching sequence.
Yeah, that's what we just covered. That's what we just did.
Oh, okay. Do I need to prepare like a lesson plan or something?
No, you do what I just said.
So just follow your order, like make activities.
You just make it meaningful. You make the design meaningful. Has it to work and has it to correspond with the curricular requirements, which is the priorities and the capabilities, right?
Okay.
Okay, and I will produce a podcast to make it very, very clear how all of this which I just showed, I already have indicated today how all of this links to the higher order skills, which are explicated in the curricular priorities. I can't remember what are the curricular priorities now because I'm a little bit tired. But they are building communities, they are engagement with Asia, and what's the first one? Do you know? Engagement with Asia, indigenous people, and building communities. That's what it is. So it's engagement with Asia, link with indigenous cultures, and also building communities and sustainability awareness, right? So, so these three curricular priorities we have, and we link them to social awareness, to personal awareness, ethical awareness, cultural awareness, and to critical and creative thinking. All these elements were covered in this actual lesson today. But I will make a PowerPoint that very explicitly reiterates what I have said today. I probably made the same links last week. But I think that very little work is done in Australia on actually how to design activities that actually link with those higher order thinking skills. So it really needs to be a separate podcast created, really focused and very clearly linking the higher order skills with the design of activities for teaching languages. So I will do that.
Oh, thank you, Anya.
But basically, for the assignment 1, we do what I just ran through.
Yeah, just follow your order or instructions. I don't have
That's it. So if you go to a workshop, by all means listen to the ideas, but do not replicate it in my class, for my assignment, because I don't assess a method that someone else taught. I assess what this unit is about.
Okay.
Sometimes it's very important. Sometimes, especially in early childhood, this is very, very frequent. Some students think that if they went to some workshop on some particular method, they can actually reproduce it for me, and they can't. Because I don't teach a method. I teach how to think about early literacy and how to do early literacy in relation to specific unit outcomes that have passed the accreditation process. Hey?
I'm doing secondary teaching, not early childhood.
Yeah, but I'm saying that people from early childhood make this mistake. They go outside, do the workshop, and then they actually replicate it in their assignments.
Okay.
It's very dangerous. One needs to actually remember that we're not doing a workshop, we're doing this unit.
Okay. Can you post some examples from previous students and we can see like the...
No. First of all, I have reasons. Oh, actually I do. I have run it, but no, I never do it and I won't. I just did a little bit today. I don't really practice that.
Okay.
I have done enough of work and enough of examples of mine. What I do, however, recommend is that, and I think there's space on LearnLine, isn't there, where I say that everybody should actually upload their assignments on the LearnLine.
Yes.
Is there a place for it? Discussion board? And do we have assignment 1?
Yeah, but there is no there.
Okay, so what we do now, it's very simple. We will now go to Create Forum. And we will say Assignment 1 Submissions. And we will say, please insert or please upload your assignment 1 onto this discussion forum. And in that sense, all students actually will be able to now see each other's assignments. That's here.
Then
and
we
we'll do the same with assignment 2. Okay, so this is the discussions we have. Nothing has happened yet. We don't have that many students. But assignment 1 submissions, so all students will submit not on LearnLine, but through actually the discussion board. I will send an email to make sure that everyone remember. I think it's said actually in the assignment description. But anyway, here it is. So every student submits their assignment in here, and then you can actually see what your peers are actually submitting. And in that sense, you will have some way of comparing your thinking with someone else.
Okay, that's good. Thank you, Annie.
All right. So much for today. That was great. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard you are a little tired.
Pardon me?
I heard you are a little bit tired. Yeah, so I hope you will.
I had a very difficult week, but it's fine. It's
really?
over. It was a big success.
That's horrific.
Hey?
That's horrific. You had like a horrible.
I had a big week, but it's okay. It ended up really well, so I worked well, all went well, so everybody is happy.
Okay, yeah.
So when you introduce the community, you throw in some pictures to show to people that there's the bigger world and all of that. Right, so...
enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, you too, darling. Okay, so Daniel, I'll see you next week, and this will be on LearnLine as soon as it actually gets, you know, made visible. I mean, it takes a while before it actually is visible, this recording.
Okay.
I don't think it's visible instantly. Pardon me?
Thank you. Yes, that's it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, too. Okay, bye-bye for now.